Yeah, blessed love. We give thanks even for this resurrection moment. Once again, joy and happiness being in the midst of each and every one. As again, we are celebrating life, celebrating such new beginning, and again, such resurrection. Of course, great joy to all those who have kept the strength going through the Lenten period. And we're thankful that you have definitely come out the victor. As we said, we are definitely touching this evening a very interesting subject I wanted to bring forward. As you could see, we are going into the whole aspect of the seal of King Hezekiah. And of course, there's something interesting about it I want to touch upon. Because of course, you know, it's a character from the biblical script. And there are many ones that would argue that the Bible and the characters in the Bible and David and Solomon and Isaiah and Hezekiah would be, you know, fable or myth or not real. So how do you determine if they are real or not real? Because apparently, like the Bible itself is not enough evidence. We need something outside of that. I mean, the book can't prove in itself. Okay, so archaeology, this is how history is proven. Your finds and your primary source and these different things. So we're going to touch upon that in a moment on another level. But of course, you know, reminding you, of course, of the International Homeschool program. And let me say, yes, of course, you know, astronomy and African history and heritage, but the biology classes definitely already on the way. In fact, let me just say to all the parents and the prospective scholars that will be coming into our program, those who are already into the biology or those who would have started with us at the beginning of the biology session, they would be definitely dealing at this point. They will be definitely dealing with the nervous system. I know that for sure. Examining the brain and exactly how the brain works in relation to the rest of the goodie. And of course, as I said, the nervous system and how the nerves go throughout the body and affect the sight and the hearing and the smell and touch and taste, etc., etc. So that's what's going on as we speak, family. Talking about the Personalized Institute of Holistic Knowledge, our international homeschool program, definitely something that is gathering enough momentum, and many parents and young ones, as you yourself would have heard, very thankful for the opportunity to be a part of this. And I'm just encouraging you at least to contact us, at least to get a free sample, you know, for the young ones. Let them look at it and see if they delight in it, pardon me. Remember, this is extremely inexpensive, and this is to strengthen the mental capacity of your child. I don't know who on earth would pass up that opportunity that's of a sound mind. I'm very serious. So again, remember, not only the biology now, not only the African history and heritage and even astronomy, but we have also added another component which the regular school system considers extremely important, which is the English language, which is the language arts aspect of it. And keep in mind, remember, the language arts is totally free for those who would be a part of any aspect of our international homeschool program, or even if you were a part of our international homeschool program. So what a great joy it is. Again, just encouraging you. Remember, you could visit the website for sure, priestisaacinstitute.com. And of course, you could definitely email us, preciseInstitute@gmail.com for sure, and just inquire of again, the different classes and the rates. Very, very inexpensive. And remember, you also have that opportunity to get a free viewing, or sneak preview, as some people will call it, as it relates to any of the classes that we provide. Very good. Looking forward to hearing from you. So, family, as I was saying now, the Hezekiah Seal, just for clarity. You see, as I said at the beginning, most of us, maybe let's say above 20 years of age, would have grown up in a strong, not just Christian society, but unchallenged Christian society. Let's put it that way. Yes, I think the Christian society stuff is still heavy, but there's a lot of opposition, especially as it relates to the validity of its theory, its history, and even the historical aspect of the main book, which is the Bible, whatever version you bring in. So in other words, did Adam and Eve really exist? Was Noah a real human being? What about Moses? Is Moses one of the Tutmosis or the Amosis? And what about the great King Solomon and the great King David? Are they just myth from some other, ancient tradition that has been taken up by the Jewish people and made into folk heroes? What's really? And what about Mr. Jesus Christ? He is a big, big fella there. And those who believe in the Christ will tell you, well, he's real, but Paul, somebody added Paul into the scripture. So really now, the thing is that in this time, you would find that most scholars and researchers are going to ask you for the evidence. One of the main things people would say is that, listen, you can't find no tomb of Abraham nowhere. You can't find the tomb of Jacob nowhere. You can't find the tomb of Isaac nowhere. That's good. And don't intend to find it nowhere neither. You can't find the tomb, of these individuals anywhere, according to what many, ones would say. But if you go to Kemet, if you go to ancient Egypt, I mean, if all the evidence is there, even if you can't find the tomb of a specific person, but you still have some credible evidence that they were there. So it's not just about finding tomb. It's about finding anything at all. And this is why the Hezekiah Seal has become so celebrated, because it is one of those cases where you can find anything at all. Just find something. I mean, the argument appears to be so weak that if you just find a pin that we can look at, we will take time to listen to you. Because remember, David never exists. King Hezekiah never exists. Hezekiah, the whole heap of the biblical people, none of them ever exist. But we know for sure. We know for sure there are people in the biblical story that exist. Now, I'm not talking about Hezekiah. I haven't really reached him yet. I'm talking about, for example, King Taharka. According to the Bible, he was king of Egypt and all the world. Yeah, how did he get that position? He was king of Egypt and all the world. So if you were the king of Egypt and all the world, that means Egypt was running all the world. It makes sense to me. Remember, the book of Nahum already showed us that the Luxor, today's Luxor, the ancient thieves that was called Noe, used to run the whole planet. That's in the book of Nahum. Or the book of Nahum never said so. It said so, but I mean, you would have to understand what it's saying, and we've done a whole program on that. In fact, that's in a manuscript I'm going to explain in a few moments. So just stick around and you'll learn exactly whatever may have been missing. But the Bible clearly says that Africa used to run the world. Nobody can deny me. You can type whatever you type. That's just chat. Just like they call it in the chat, that's really chat. We're talking realistic evidence and proof. Even biblical stats clearly show that Thebes in Egypt used to run the whole planet. Nobody can deny that. At least the all of Africa. So if the king of Nubia, or the king of Egypt, as it said there, is the king of all the world, doesn't that mean that his main seat is the governance of all the world? Makes sense to me. Okay, good. So what I'm saying here now, fair enough. There's another king there now, Shishak. He's another king mentioned in the Bible. These are Nubian and Kemetic kings. That history has proven existed. Shishak, some say Shishak, and our good brother there, Tahaka. These are credible people that no one denies existed. But then the people that they were around in the Bible, when King Tahaka went up and he met with the kings of Israel and these ones now, somehow history is void of evidence to prove that they were around. We're not dealing with no Jewish evidence and this and that. We want something a bit more solid. All right, this is what I'm getting to. Right. Now, you have the Hezekiah Seal. This is it here, pardon me. In fact, let me just highlight it here. King Hezekiah's seal reads, belonging to Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, king of Judah. And it gives some information here. Hezekiah ruled from about 727 to 698 BC. Very good, good stuff. Now, what I'm going to do here, family, let's just read a bit of information so we can get a clarity of exactly where this seal of King Hezekiah is coming from. This is a better look at the seal of King Hezekiah here. All right. Now, I'm going to read something here taken from Biblical Archaeology.org. It says here, King Hezekiah in the Bible. Royal seal of Hezekiah comes to light. Hezekiah in the Bible and on the ground. It says here, the royal seal of King Hezekiah in the Bible was found in an archaeological excavation. The stamped clay seal, also known as a bulla, was discovered in the Ophel excavation led by Dr. Eilat Mazar at the foot of the southern wall of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. The discovery was announced in a press release by the Hebrew University of Jerusalem's Institute of Archaeology, under whose auspices, pardon me, the excavation was conducted. The bulla, as it's called, which measures just over a centimeter in diameter, you see it here, bears a seal impression depicting a two-winged sun disk flanked by Ankh symbols containing the Hebrew instruction or inscription that reads, belonging to Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, king of Judah. The bulla was discovered along with 33 other stamped bulli during wet sifting of dirt from a refuse dump located next to the 10th century BC royal building in Ophel. Good. In the ancient Near East, clay bulli were used to secure the strings tied around rolled up documents. The bulli were made by pressing a seal onto a wet lump of clay, and the stamped bulla served as both a signature and as a means of ensuring the authenticity of the documents. All right, good. So we have a clear idea. I think it was discovered, did it have the date here? No. Well, from my knowledge, it was, I think it's in 2015 that yes, I think it was in 2015. They should have the information here that this was discovered. Okay, fair enough. I'm sure I'm correct with that. Good. But whatever the case is, so we have now, what you would call this, empirical evidence that King Hezekiah existed. In fact, now, unless you're going to tell me that this is a fraud and somebody put it together and placed it there, which some people will say, just naturally, that will always come up. If that is not the case, that means this is proof that there was a King Hezekiah. So if there was a King Hezekiah, and it clearly says the son of Ahaz, that's proof right there that there was a King Ahaz too. So this is bringing light to the biblical narrative, because even though it's not, let's just say, hardcore proof that there is a king, let's say David and Solomon, but we already found ourselves in the ballpark of the narrative of the scripture with this discovery here. Good. Now, so we have that clear. I am sure that Hebrew Israelites, brothers and sisters, would be delighted to lean on this, that there is evidence to prove that the King of Israel, King Hezekiah, existed, because here is his seed. I am sure even those of us as Rastafari, who are definitely strong when it comes to, defending the Bible, would be very delighted to see that, look, it's been unearthed now, that this is not just belief, but this is historical fact, that, look, you have the seal of King Hezekiah. All right, good. So we done seal that, right? Good. Let's continue now. Let's see if we can balance this part off. So he has a sun wind disk, which is flanked by 2 ankhs. We gone somewhere else now. Nobody can just say, oh, we found Hezekiah's seal. No Jewish people, oh, we found Hezekiah's seal, and put it on the table and say, well, everybody have a good night now. I'll see you in the morning. No. They see nobody in the morning. So what is the ankh now doing on the seal of King Hezekiah? What is the sun disk with the wings doing on the seal of King Hezekiah? This is an Israelite king, and he's not even considered one of them Israelite kings that went a-whoring, pardon the language. Well, I mean, that's how the Bible says. I'm sorry, but according to the Bible, some of them kings, Ahab and them fellas, they went seriously a-whoring after other gods and other things and other that. Hezekiah was an upstanding, kind of brother, really. I think he's one of the best that stood out. In fact, Hezekiah was one of them ones that brought idolatry to an end and destroyed the idols. There was an article that came out that I saw where some biblical so-called scholars of the Jewish, vibes. We're reconsidering if Hezekiah was really a destroyer of the idols. Why do you think that discussion came up? Because they said he had idols on his seal. Yeah, what? The sun and the wings and the ankhs. Remember, them things belong to idols. They belong to the Egyptians. They don't belong to the Jews. And I'm just running this narrative just so that the story can be played. But trust me, man, as old people does say, take sense out of nonsense. We have already taken the sense out of the nonsense, family. And this is why, this is why we hesitate not to highlight the book, The True Biblical Land of Israel. I just said a moment ago that the Bible itself makes it very plain or clear, pellucid, if you wish, that the king of Egypt was the king of the whole planet, according to what the Bible says. The same Bible clearly shows you that Thebes was once the headquarters of all of Africa. So those who try to deny that there was a united Africa, who are biblically sound, the Bible disputes that idea. And when we're talking of ancient Africa, we're talking of Africa plus Arabia going up onto the river Euphrates. Now, what I'm saying, family, this is why sometimes you hear us mention the elephant in the room meditation. Because from my humble perspective, there are specific things that we've brought to the table, many things, but let me just highlight this alone, not talk about nothing else. The concept of the true land of Israel being Africa plus Arabia, not just, no offense to no one, but not just a void concept that, yeah, man, the true Israelites are black people. That is true and all of that, and but when it comes down now to nitty-gritty scholarship, biblical scholarship, which will obviously lead into archaeological and other scientific levels of scholarship, which this is where we are now. We have detailed and I think narrowed it down from a biblical perspective, geographically speaking, undeniable that the land of Israel spoken of in the Bible is Africa plus Arabia. And this is highlighted, of course, in our book, The True Biblical Land of Israel. Those of you who have the book and have gone through it, you have a clear understanding of where we stand with this. And in this book, we use the Bible as the main reference, a source of reference to prove our point. And we debunk clearly, without any shadow of a doubt, that the place called Israel today, which is Palestine, that is not the biblical Israel. That is not it. It may be a little 1% of it, but that's not good enough. You cannot fit the whole storyline in there. So saying that you find the seal of Hezekiah there, that don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. All of that is ancient Kemet. Huh? What do you mean, huh? Do your history, man. Remember we did the whole program on King Ramesses II, the spiritual gods of Kemet, the living gods of Kemet. Ramesses II, that was the third installment of that online lecture series, which is still available. Visit our website and you could get a copy of that. Ramessu II, and these great kings who would have, you know, gone all the way up to Kadesh and battled, and all of this area in the ancient time was really a province of Kemet. So this is why when you hear certain scholars say that, listen, If you were in Egypt, the place called Egypt today, Kemet, and you were leaving Egypt, running away from the authority of Egypt, going to the place called Palestine or Canaan at that time there, according to what they teach us, you'll be just going back to Egypt. If you leave Egypt as we know it today and run to the place called Israel as they call it today, in that time, all of that area was a part of the ancient Egypt. So that concept is not, no, that's not making sense. The point is that the authority that was in Egypt was the exact authority that was in Palestine area or Canaan, the same Levant. So where you really run into, you know, you're actually in the same place. But again, this is why we've already showed through the true biblical land of Israel. Even the geography, follow me good, eh? Even the geography given to Palestine, Israel today is not aligned with the geography given by the Bible. Remember, there is supposed to be an east sea to the east of Israel. You're supposed to be able to go to the east of Palestine today and look at the east sea. So far, you can't see no land nowhere in the distance. There's no sea. That's just totally way off. The Great Sea, which is supposed to be to the east, is also supposed to be to the south. We already debunked that whole thing with the Palestine business. So those of us who are conscious, but we still believe in the Palestine, Israel, don't be ashamed, man. You know, I mean, because I know we funny, you know, because it's me says so, you know. No, we weird, man. Some white man in a collar would have to come, and some professor gonna have to say it. That's how we stay. That is how we stay. We have more respect for Peter and Luke and John, who we never meet. We don't even know if they exist, than for those of us who here right now. Even King Emmanuel teach us these things. Eh? A man like to say, well, you know, even Moses say and Daniel say, but what you say, I live by that principle, eh? What you say. Yeah, man, and I don't know, sometimes ones feel offended when we get on that way there, but you must have faith within yourself. What do you say? Have faith. Believe in yourself. Nothing inside of you can bring out new. Yeah. So that's what we're doing here. So clearly, family, what I'm showing you now is this. I've always said that the area that we call Egypt today, Kemet, in that biblical narrative, that is the prime candidate. That area there, not necessarily the squared area that they give us. For example, the Republic of Egypt today with its borders, not necessarily that. But within the ancient time, that Jerusalem spirit that we talk about, I am positive it would have been in that area called Tamari. Just like the Bethlehem energy that you're talking about would have been in the area we know as Abyssinia, Ethiopia, Nubia, that region there. Because the Bible now in its description shows us that Jerusalem, basically, if you follow it good, Jerusalem is to the north and Bethlehem is to the south. In fact, when you study the amusement park place that they call Israel today, because it was set up for tourism too, you know, all of that was a part of the game. Yeah, bring people to the fairy tale land, let them believe this is where it happened. Yeah, but if you notice, it's set the same way too. You know, Jerusalem, and you come down, so to speak, to Bethlehem. Anyway, the reason why I brought all of this in, family, is to return again to the seal of Hezekiah, the Israelite king, with the Egyptian markers on his seal. Israel was not under the tribute as such, or under the neck, the grasp as such, or the yoke. Israel was not under the yoke of Egypt, the biblical Egypt at that time, because remember that Bible Egypt is not necessarily Kemet. You got to keep that in mind. When we left Egypt and when we gone back into Egypt and all of that is not necessarily Northeast Africa. Is not necessarily the Mizraim that ones like to speak of. Think, family, follow me good. Again, Revelation showed you that Christ was crucified in Egypt. So which Egypt? Now think Christ was crucified in Egypt. Revelation says so. No, well, it didn't say Egypt. It said the place was called spiritual Egypt. Ah, okay, but fair enough. I agree with you. So that means when the Bible talk about Egypt and you come out of Egypt and you're going back in Egypt, them two Egypt may not necessarily be the same Egypt. It's just different Egypts, different places of captivity and crucifixion and Golgotha and skull and all of these things that, you know, come with Egypt. Okay, so when we observe now, again, the different insignia, we're talking about Ra. This is Ryan. He does no sun with no wings. You know. This is the symbol of Ra, the Aten, if you wish as well, with the wings, which represents the feather snake. And then, of course, the Ankh. Nobody can run from the Ankh. How is it that Hezekiah rocking his Ankhs? And again, this is why the article by the Jewish scholars, I stumbled to call him that a while ago, the Jewish scholars were saying that he didn't really throw away all the paganism because we found him rocking paganism with their mix-up line story. And again, those who follow what we speak of and even would have read our book understand that they just take everything and flip it upside down. That's what Idi Amin Dada says, you know. Check the documentary when he says that Israel, you know, the Jewish people just went into Palestine and with the help of America and Britain, you know, with arms and take over the people and turn it around and call it the state of Israel. Just so. And that is the truth. That is the truth. And just put themselves in the narrative and change the location. And remember, they were going to go to Argentina. We covered all of this just the other evening. Remember, they were going to go to Uganda to make Israel. And you would just believe it. I don't know what they would have done, but you would believe it. That that's Israel in the Bible and that's where Jesus used to walk. Yes, in Argentina. You would believe it. You would believe it. All of you would believe it. Can you believe this today? From you tell me you believe that Palestine is the Israel? Well, I'm telling you, I don't care how conscious you be, you would believe that it was in Argentina if they would have told you so. Straight up. I tell you straight up. Yeah, and some people just can't let it go because it's hard to say. Yeah, a regular black man uncracked the code or cracked the code. Yeah, we cracked the code. Africa plus Arabia is Israel. King Hezekiah now that you're talking about here, this ancient king, not because they found it in the Levant. Again, all of that is a part of the ancient world. So we're missing history here. We're not getting it proper because we have different ideas. We're trying to separate them biblical David and the biblical Solomon, Sol is the son and Aman is Aman, Ra Aman, Aman Ra, Solomon, you know, and the David, we're trying to separate them from the agency of North Africa because that's what the enemy has taught us. The Ashkenazi, how all of a sudden Ashkenazi become Israelites. That's what we need to meditate on. Black Christ in flesh. Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. And this piece here, you know, this is the Isaiah seal. Somewhere here, it is said that the mention is made of even the prophet Isaiah and his reality. Yes, family, you know, it's more than just knowledge, as the Bible even says, you know, it's good to get knowledge, you know, but in all you're getting get understanding. Be wise about it too, because a lot of people know things, you know. There are people that know more about this than us, much more. But it's not about just what you know. Do you understand what you know? That is the point. So get that understanding or overstanding or understanding or comprehension, and it will definitely take you to another level. Yes, family, give thanks for your presence with us. Of course, you know, just encouraging you once again to contact us for your free preview of the International Homeschool Program, whatever you want to see. Whether you want to get a proper look at the astronomy program, we'll send you a nice little sample for you to watch. If you want to get a sample, a free sample of the African heritage, we'll send a nice little package for you and your children, some worksheets, so you see, hey, this is what it's all about. If you want to get into the biology aspect of it, just contact us, look at all the information there, and we'll definitely give you a step up on exactly what's going on the international homeschool base, my family. The True Biblical Land of Israel, my family. Do you have a copy of that book? Well, all you have to do is visit the website. You know how to get there, priestisaacinstitute.com, priestisaacinstitute.com. And then, of course, you visit the shop area. Easy as pie, you visit the shop area. And then, of course, you scroll down, and of course you'll come across the different books and all the DVD online lectures that we have available. This is the lecture I just mentioned to you about Rameses II, the Living Gods of Kemet, Part 3. It's a three-part perspective, three-part programming itself. And as I said, you look for the True Biblical Land of Israel. Here it is, the True Biblical Land of Israel. No, that's Anu, Ancient and Modern. The True Biblical Land of Israel, and you just order it, and of course, it will come straight to you, and you could see for yourself how we have definitely taken the understanding of the scripture to prove that not only Africa plus Arabia is the true land of Israel, but the melanated of the world, you know, are the true Israelites, but you got to go through the manuscript to get that in its fullness. So definitely visit the website, and of course, remember to always keep in tune to Radio Anu, talking about the international flavor, the universal spice. And if you have any problems getting anywhere here, just you know, click the link in the description below. In fact, I'm going to put a link directly for the shop. This link right here, so you can get straight to the Biblical Land of Israel. And order Biblical Land of Israel is only about $25 or something like that. $20 for the True Biblical Land of Israel. All right. And while you're at it, remember to get your chalices. Remember to get your chalices. All you got to do is visit the website to get your chalices. It's not too hard. You don't got to email I. Visit the website, press the button, and the Honorable Prophet Daniel will be, Honorable Prophet Daniel will be there to make sure you get the best version of the cup that you are looking for. Yes, family, give thanks for your presence. You don't know, as I said, all the links are in the description below. Join us on Radio Anu right now, as we are definitely bringing forward some wonderful programming to uplift your meditation and uplift your thoughts. Give thanks, life giver and the keeper of life, love and majesty. And of course, I'm looking forward to all the parents and the young ones, man. Contact us and get some free viewing of the homeschool program, so you get a good idea of what is available for you. Holy Emmanuel, I Selassie, Jah Rastafari. Blessed love, give thanks.